You are listening to the one and only Visionaries Wrestling Network, envisioning excellence and providing your perfect podcast experience. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to View from the Top Rope, where we discuss anything and everything about the wild and wacky world of professional wrestling, podcasting, pop culture, movies, our wacky lives, and any combination of any of those things, and so many others. I am Chad, coming to you from Zeus's Treehouse, and before I can tell you who my co-host is, he has to play the world-famous game show, What's the Password? And we will just give a quick introduction. Diesel, do you know this week's password?
This week, Zeus is telling me that the password is, it's called peripherals, ladies.
Interesting. I don't know if Zeus Dog really uses peripherals that much. He doesn't really care that much. People notice him staring. But let's go. Judges. And that is once again a correct answer, so I can now introduce him fully. To my left, it's my good brother, Diesel.
What's up, high flyers? How's everybody doing this week? How are you doing this week, Chad?
Oh, living the dream one damn day at a time. But that leads us perfectly into our first segment, which is, how's your week been, buddy?
The week has been alright.
Yeah?
Alright.
Just alright.
Caught up on Stranger Things, rewatched it, because the new season's coming up, and I forgot what happened. Forgot all of season 2, and I like season 2.
Never watched. I watched season 1, and for some reason, I never got around to watching anymore.
Went to see Toby Keith on Friday night. It was a nice night. The weather was perfect for an outdoor concert. Let's just go with that.
Did he put a boot in anyone's ass?
Nobody's saying about it. Saturday night, went and got some prime rib for my sister's birthday. Had a few drinks. Tried out this new restaurant. I won't say where or what it is because it was not very good.
Ooh.
Did not get the Diesel. Didn't even get one thumbs up from Diesel.
Ooh, that's not good. Diesel's pretty nice with his reviews as well, so if he didn't like it, they must have been pretty damn bad.
And the rest of the weekend I just kind of chilled and bowled last night and got a 170 in the first game. Kind of screwed it up. Started off really good, but I don't know.
Yeah, bowling last night was interesting.
Against the douchebag kids. I don't like you kids. I know you're listening.
We also were bowling against insurmountable force because of their handicaps. The one guy...
Sandbaggers.
He wasn't sandbagging. He had a broken hand, so he established with his other hand.
Come on, that's not the only reason he's a sandbagger. He's been a sandbagger every season he's been in this league.
That is true, but whatever. We bowled them, and we couldn't win no matter what, basically. So I didn't really care last night. It was fine. Drank some beers, had some bowling, whatever.
I was more upset that I personally did not do better.
Yeah. I was personally upset that he did not do better as well. And Diesel's brother wasn't there, so it was weird because they're only a two-man team. It's odd. But my week has been good. I've been catching up on actual other things besides wrestling. I've decided that I'm going to try and keep myself fresh by doing every other week where I go really hardcore in wrestling one week, and then the next week I try and, do some other stuff, watch some, other things, get other things done, and not just focus solely on wrestling like I tend to do. So this has been my off week from wrestling, so I haven't really watched much. I watched SmackDown today and 205 Live with Diesel. Besides that, I've just been keeping up with the news for everyone about what's happening. Don't worry, I'll catch up on everything, as I always do. That'll be next week. But this time, just kind of been chilling. Not really much going on in Chad's life. It's
205 Live was better than SmackDown.
205 Live is almost always better than SmackDown. It's a great show that everyone should be watching. Don't make me get up on my soapbox again, folks, because I will.
He's going to have a soapbox derby.
With how big I'm going to make this soapbox I'm going to climb up onto. I'm going to jump too, just one single jump. I'm that good. All right, that'll wrap up our week's been. Let's move on to our second segment, which is T-shirt time. What you rocking this week, Diesel?
Once again, I'm not wearing a wrestling shirt because WWE, F you. And plus, the Brewers are not really doing very well right now. So I need to support them. So I am wearing one of my Brewer shirts. I like this one. On the back, it has like 5 or 6 tickets from like historic games. And yeah, so I like this. I like this shirt. It's nice and comfy too. I sink right into it. Yeah. So what do you got tonight, Chad?
Weirdly, I am also wearing a light blue t-shirt. We did not plan this ever, as I never want to be wearing the same color t-shirt, even though most times we're both wearing black t-shirts. But this week I am wearing my Colt Cabana t-shirt.
Boom.
Got this one out of a pro wrestling crate. I do not remember which crate this was. It was a while ago at this point. Like, this was probably last year that I got this shirt. I've had it for a while. I got this shirt the same week that we got our Evil Dish shirts, the red one. You know what I'm talking about?
Yep.
Because I wore.
What you were wearing last night.
Yep, and because I wore this to the ICW show, and then I had changed at the ICW show because I got my Evil Dish shirt.
He's not lying.
I got a weird memory about things like that. That's how much I love my t-shirts. I remember when I got them. I don't exactly remember where I got it from, though. I know it's a Pro Wrestling Crate, just don't remember which one. If you haven't signed up for the Pro Wrestling Crate, you really should. Go to pwcrate.com. Pretty sure that's their website. And check them out. This month is Heels, Part 3. It's going to be badass. I'm excited. Free plug. Sponsor us, Pro Wrestling Crate. Do it.
Please.
All right, that will wrap up T-shirt time. Let us move on, though, to our next segment. This is where you get all the happenings and goings-ons for all of your favorite podcasts on the world's greatest podcasting network, from everything from pro wrestling to podcasting itself, to F1 racing, to UFC, and everything in between. It's time for Visionaries Wrestling Network News. And as always, Diesel kicks off the news as the great co-host of Visionaries Wrestling Network News. So, what you got for us this week, Mr. Diesel?
Well, as always, we like to start with the magnificent Matt Willis. And I gotta find, there it is. And you can find him at MattAttackUK on Twitter. This week, Matt was Matt was victorious in the Stomping Grounds prediction show, but only just as Mike Baker. You can find him at Mike B. Bebe.
I like that.
So just as Mike Baker ran in very close with a 5-4 win for Matt.
Ooh, lucky dog you.
Matt will be back with a Matt Attack for Extreme Rules, guest to be confirmed or determined.
I don't think it's us.
Maybe it is.
I don't know. I'm not in the loop.
Also, don't forget, Matt is being joined by Paul Tully for a Wrestle Kingdom Matt Attack towards the end of the year.
Leader of the Toligons.
Yeah.
Throwback, baby.
The gaming podcast, Matt and Alex, returns on Saturday, and the boys run down their worst 3 games they have personally ever played.
I swear to God, Alex, if you try and put Red Dead Redemption 2 on your list, I'll slap the crap out of you. I already beat you at Fortnite.
Reminder, this is their opinions, but tweet your displeasure if your name is Chad at Matt Alex Game Podcast. At Matt Alex Game Pod. Sorry, I casted it. But yeah, I didn't read that last line if your name is Chad, so touche, that was a good one.
I'm telling you right now what's gonna happen.
And Chad doesn't see this news either, so that was good timing on him to interject. So touche on both of you guys. What you talking about, Willis? We'll return very soon. Just need to synchronize times between the brothers.
Woo! What you talking about, Willis?
Also, tune in to Good Cop, Bad Cop this week to find out who Matt is going to be sitting down for a chat with.
Ooh, Matt a chat. Kind of like that. What? I can like things that he does.
I like it too. That's why I giggled.
I don't have to be a jerk all the time. It's just fun.
moving on.
Moving on.
To Motivated and Confident Mags. You can find him on Twitter at Dennis Kirkby. 5 rounds. UFC rolls into Minneapolis for UFC on ESPN 3 with the headline bout between Junior Dos Santos, I can say that.
Darn it.
And Francis Ngannou. Ngannou. I don't know. This one's, yeah. Mags and Carlos will bring you all the fallout from the event.
Man, there was only 2 names in that one. Mags, put more names in next time. It's way more fun that way.
Oh. While we watch, Mags had the distinct honor of chatting with PW Torch writer and friend of View from the Top Rope, Tom Callaghan, about his love of wrestling, his history, and how that transitioned into working with one of the biggest wrestling sites in the world.
That's awesome. Tom's a good guy, so make sure you definitely check that one out. I will be tuning in.
And I will be tuning in as well.
Look at that. Is that all the news you have for today?
Yeah, that's all the news I have. Moving on to you, Chad.
All right, well.
Throwing it to you, over to you, good buddy.
I'll take that reins from you, if you will. Dun-dun. All right, the news this week, we will start with MGB Wrestling Podcast. Last Monday, all 3 of the Bag Shop Boys reviewed day 1 of their mini road trip and the trip to the Orange County Fair and the review of the UCW event Defiance, which was held there.
Wait, wasn't it the Orange Cassidy Fair?
I don't know.
That's what this question was about last week.
That's true. But no, Orange Cassidy's a wrestler.
I
Yeah.
know that.
This Monday, they will be reviewing day 2 of that road trip by reviewing Next Evolution's Wrestling's event from Elizabeth City, NC. Listen to Good Cop, Bad Cop, episode 46 for huge breaking MGB news about this episode as well. So I guess that's a good segue. We'll just go on to the Good Cop, Bad Cop Wrestling Podcast news. Episode 46 will have Good Cop Graham and Bad Cop Matt reviewing the good and the bad from Stomping Ground, Raw, and SmackDown. There will also be Open Agenda, The Devil's Advocate, along with a second round of Good Cop Karaoke. And I don't have any news from Caden Uncaged or Powerbomb Girls. As always, check out their back catalog, and if you're in the upper northeast, make sure you're checking out Caden wrestling all over there. I know he wrestles for a bunch of promotions, so check him out. Now it is time for View from the Top Rope news. Diesel, what you got? Toss it back to you, if you will.
On July 12th, 2019, we will be going to the Turner Hall Ballroom in Milwaukee, Wisconsin for AAW.
It's gonna be nuts.
It's gonna be nuts. Just yesterday it was announced that Myron Reed and AR Fox will be taking on the Lucha Bros.
Jacked.
Front row seats for that. I can't wait. And then on July 28th, show I forgot to look up what it's called again, but we know it's at the world famous La Pica Lounge, and we know it has something to do with America because it's close enough to 4th of July. It's America themed. It's like freedom or die. That's not it, but that's what it should be. No, that's horrible.
That's a terrible name.
It's ICW Milwaukee. World famous La Pica Lounge number 3. I know for a fact it's on July 28th.
That is true.
2019.
That is very true.
And I know that there's still seats available. I don't know about front row, but I know that you'll be able to watch the show if you pay at the door.
Wow, Diesel. Good Lord, that was bad.
I liked it.
I don't.
It got a laugh out of you.
It was a pity laugh, man.
No, it wasn't.
That was a
You
pity
didn't
laugh.
see it coming.
Oh.
I rhymed on accident, then I rhymed on purpose.
Right. What about, so also we might be going to a show August 2nd. Considering it. Yeah, for our CCW. Gonna have Sienna there. So, very intrigued. Pinkies up. For sure. But we're not positive on that. That one's in La Crosse. So that is a bit of a hike for us to get to La Crosse. But we'll see. Haven't decided yet. But make sure if you're in that area, check it out. August 2nd. I don't really have any other information on it.
It's the 3rd.
It's a 3rd?
That's what you told me earlier.
That could be.
My grandma's birthday is the 2nd.
Okay, well, it's the 2nd or the 3rd. All right.
It's in August.
We got any other shows we got to plug right now?
Don't know when the next Frozen Tundra is because we missed last week, but we'll get on that next week. Always forget we do View from the Top Rope news.
You do. Make sure you're checking out the YouTube because we put up the video every Friday of this wonderful podcast. So
maybe you're watching it right now.
Maybe you are. I just don't know. But if you're just listening, make sure you check out the video on YouTube as well. I don't think I have anything else for View from the Top Rope news. You got anything else?
I always forget View from the Top news. View from the Top Rope news, but never forget your Subway sub.
Yeah, that's true. That's your superpower, is remembering what I want on my Subway sandwich. It's very impressive. All right, but that will wrap up Visionaries Wrestling Network news. As always, thank you for tuning in to all of the wonderful podcasts on the Visionaries Wrestling Network. Make sure you are commenting, sharing, and subscribing on whichever podcasting platform that you choose to listen to us on. Or if you're watching on YouTube, make sure you're liking, commenting, sharing, and subscribing on there as well, so that we can always reach more and more listeners, so that the Visionaries Wrestling Network can continue to grow. If you'd like to join the Visionaries Wrestling Network, you can hit us up on Twitter. That is @VizWrestleNet. Or you can send us your podcast to our Gmail, which is visionarieswrestlingnetwork@gmail.com. But that will wrap up all of Visionaries Wrestling Network news. Let us move on to our next segment. Our next segment is everyone's favorite time of the week, because it's when we get to ramble on about anything and everything that pops up in your wild and wacky questions, and also anything else that happens to pop into our heads, because we like to go sidetracked. But before we can get there, I have to say 3 magical words, and they are, boys, hit the music.
Questions, questions, questions. We answer all your questions. Questions, questions, questions by High Flyers. We answer all your questions, 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 questions. Questions, questions, questions by High Flyers.
As the song just told you, it's time for the Mystery Brainbuster of the Week. And as I've said before, when I run the show, I kick it off with new high flyers. And this week, we got a couple. So we will start this week with the Red Leaf Retrocast, who is at Bowling JD. Welcome, new high flyer. And the question from Red Leaf Retrocast is, can you name an active WWE women wrestler that performs a flying top rope crossbody frequently in their moveset?
Bailey, pretty sure does crossbody off the top rope. My memory serves me correctly.
She does. There's actually a fair amount. Carmella does a very good flying crossbody. Looks really good because she's like kind of lanky, so it looks really good when she's flying through the air. Ember Moon, another one who frequently does the flying crossbody. Nikki Cross, another one who is a very... Selena Vega, another one, frequent proponent of the flying crossbody block. I think it works really well for the female competitors, so I think a lot of them actually do it. It's a great looking move, and I think with, just the way they can contort themselves in the air, it looks better than sometimes when the guys do it.
Agreed.
Yeah. So those are our answers. There's probably a few more. I'm trying to think if I can think of any more off the top of my head. Because Charlotte really doesn't do one. Alexa Bliss, not really. She does the Sparkle Splash. Or the Twisted Bliss. It's going to be forever the Sparkle Splash for me. She does one every once in a while. I feel like it's a move that everyone busts out, especially in the multi-women matches, like where they'll take out the whole field of competitors. But for frequently used, we already named like 5 or 6. So I can't wait for you to fact check us, and we'll see how many we actually got right.
None of them probably did.
Yeah, exactly. We're just imagining all of this. Just playing too much video games. But let us thank the Red Leaf Retrocast, who is at Bowling JD. And once again, thank you for joining us as a high flyer. Please tune in next week, this week, and please send more questions in next week.
Tell your friends.
Tell your enemies. Tell your neighbors. We do have one other new high flyer this week. So let me see where they are on my list. Diesel, fill some time.
So last week, once again in my DMs, I got a DM from Conan.
He did.
And he asked me if I've heard of his podcast. So, of course, I looked at my DMs. It's like the 5th time he's DM'd me asking this. And I said, no. Like, you have a podcast? I know that. And he goes, yeah, dude. He's like, where are you from? I'm going to shout you out on my podcast this next week. I'm like, no, you can just shout out my podcast, and then he didn't message me back. So.
He didn't message him back after that.
But maybe, so listening to Keep It 100, you might hear Diesel from Madison. You might even hear a view from the top rope. Maybe he was nice enough. I don't know. I'm going to listen because I want to see if he really does do that. So
I guess we'll find out. Check that out.
it's a good way to get people to listen, Conan. Maybe we should try that.
Maybe we should. I mean, we kind of do every week with the questions where I shout out every person who asks us a question. But, you know.
How was that for filling time?
That was great. All right. Our other new high flyer this week is Chico Six Toes, who is at Chico Six Toes. And that is spelled exactly how you expect it to be. The question from Chico is it true there is no bigger mark in the Milwaukee area than Nick Memel? I don't know who Nick Memel is. I'm gonna Facebook him real quick.
I don't know who Nick Memel is either.
Let's Facebook him.
So, I mean, until we Facebook him, the answer is no.
I don't know.
I don't know.
The answer is incomplete.
As far as I know.
Alright, Facebook's not gonna load, so not gonna happen, folks.
No Google?
So, I mean, I could Google him, I guess.
I can use Facebook.
Yeah, you Facebook him. I'll fill some time. Oh, I did mean to say, this is Chico, we're in a sidebar in your question here. I think it was last week we got asked a question about how many MLW shows they taped, and we said it was only 4, and that this would be the last week of the shows they taped. But after watching this week's MLW show, I'm pretty sure there's one more, because there's a bunch of matches that haven't been featured yet, and I feel a couple of them might have been just for the crowd, but there's a couple others that I can't believe haven't been featured yet. So that one I think will definitely be on there. All right, any update on Chico's question?
Nick Memel, he looks familiar.
Show me his picture.
Got a picture here with Giannis. Maybe seen him in the crowd somewhere.
All right, the answer is yes to your question, Chico. There is no bigger mark then.
It's pretty cool that he got a picture with Giannis though.
The MVP.
MVP.
But yeah, so I'm gonna go. It is true.
Look at this baby here photo bombing.
Hey, photo bombing, baby. This question went off the rails.
We're weird guys.
I'm sorry, Chico. I promise if you ask another question, it'll go better than this one, probably.
Chico Six Toes, I like it.
Yeah, Chico Six Toes. Do you really only have 6 toes? That's my question
Or
to you.
do you have 6 toes on 1 foot?
Ooh, yeah. Do you actually have 11 toes?
Oh.
Oh, all right. Get back to us on that,
Yeah.
Chico.
Very intrigued.
We're very intrigued. But thank you for joining us as a new high flyer. You can follow Chico Six Toes at Chico Six Toes and give him a follow, because I mean his thing is Chico Six Toes. That's just cool. All right, let's move on to our next high flyer. Our next high flyer will be we will go with Zachary Shiloh, who is at Zach Shee 130. I feel like we push him to the end of the show a lot, so we'll feature you early this week, buddy. Zach has a few questions. First one is, what do you think of WWE crossing Becky with Seth in the storylines?
I don't know. I feel weird about it, to be honest. I don't know. I was talking about it with Chad earlier. I kind of think that it's just me personally, and I don't know. I'm not around them every day, but I just don't think that this is going to be a forever thing. That's that feeling.
You don't believe in true love.
Oh, that's not true. That's not true at all. I'm a romantic, okay?
Oh, you're romantic that you're calling this is just going to end.
I'm a lover. I'm not a fighter. I am a psychic as well, though. And I just don't see this being a forever thing. I mean, and think about like past love angles with actual couples. You got like Edge and Lita, Matt Hardy and Lita. You got the Macho Man and Miss Elizabeth. Like,
the Macho Man, Randy Savage.
Like, how many of them actually work out? Not very many. Some of them do.
Triple H and Stephanie.
They weren't a couple when they started.
That's fake.
It was backwards.
It was odd. But yes, what do I think of it? I think it makes sense for the WWE from a business perspective, because they are their 2 biggest stars, and they're like, hell, we captured lightning in a bottle because they actually are dating in real life. Like, this isn't a fake storyline. So I understand why the WWE is ramming it down our throats about it.
Usually it seems like they only do it when like they're married. like usually when they're just like going out, they don't really talk. Like they've mentioned it, like when Becky was feuding with Charlotte, how Charlotte is with Andrade, but they don't bring it up on commentary.
Yeah.
So like if they're married, there's like a different story usually, but like usually when they're just going out.
I don't know. I think that they're just trying to capitalize on both of their popularity.
They're both champs.
And they're both the champions.
Both got the red belts.
Yep, exactly. They're the champions of Raw. It kind of seems like one of those domino effects where everything fell into place for the WWE, and thus they are running with it. We will be talking about this a little bit more in depth later, as we do have another question about this Becky and Seth situation. So make sure you listen later in the show. But let's move on to our second question from Zach, which is, I love him to death, but why does Matt Willis have so many shows on the Visionaries Wrestling Network?
Well, I mean, it's pretty simple. We told him after he started his first show that he could have a second show, and then we told him he could have a third show, and all of a sudden he just goes, next week I'm going to debut this show, then next week I'm going to debut this show, and we got a gaming podcast, and we got a show with my brother, and we're like, okay, man, you're Matt Willis. You can do whatever you want.
Yeah, that's kind of how it happened. We told him right away. We're like, yeah, whatever you want. We trust you. And, if I'm going to be honest, I'm a little envious of it. I wish I had that many people who want to do a podcast with me. I only have this one idiot. And then our other idiot that once in a while shows up.
Well, how am I an idiot? I'm the only one who wants to do a podcast with you.
Because no one else wants to, so it must be dumb.
I don't think you're an idiot.
Oh, well, I'm sorry then. I didn't mean to call you an idiot.
I think you're a genius.
Yeah, well, thanks, Morty.
/ detective.
Thanks, Morty. But yeah, he has a bunch of podcasts because a lot of people want to do podcasts with him. I'll take that as well. But yes, he has a lot of podcasts because a lot of people want to do podcasts with him. And got a lot of great ideas, so we said screw it, let him do as many as he wants. That's how it happened. That's how we run the Visionaries Wrestling Network. We're very astute businessmen. International businessmen on international business.
And Zach, you're still welcome to join us.
Yeah, you can definitely have a podcast on the Visionaries Wrestling Network as well, Zach. But let's move on to your third and final question this week, which is, have you read the Boom Studios Go-Go Power Rangers, Forever Rangers, and Mighty Morphin Power Rangers issue 40, Chad? That was just for me, I guess.
Okay.
I didn't actually read the whole question before that. And no, actually, I have not read them yet. I haven't seen any spoilers on it either. I tend to fall a little behind right now on comics. As I said, this is the weird time of my year where I have a lot going on with planning the wedding and wrestling shows, and I'm about to go on a cabin trip and work. So I'm stretched pretty thin right now. So I tend to go during the summer, not read a lot of comics. That's more my winter time thing. But I'm assuming it was great, because if you ask me about it, something crazy must have happened, and now I'm interested. So probably tomorrow I will be looking these two issues up to see what you're talking about, so I can talk to you about it. Because I love me some comics. Power Ranger comics, Turtles comics, Marvel comics, DC comics, any comics really. I like comics. They're fun. All right, well, those were our three questions from Zachary Shiloh. Make sure you give him a follow on Twitter at ZachShe130. Let us move on, though, to our next high flyer. Our next high flyer will be, let's go with Jeff in the Bluegrass, who is at Northpaw_Jeff19. And we have a few questions. First one is, with Bray's return imminent, would you prefer a mid-card feud or him to stalk both shows for a while? So before I even you answer, quick sidebar, I love the fact that the puppets have been showing up in the background of all these behind the scenes things. Then most of us haven't even seen it. It takes someone stopping it most of the time to see it. I saw the ones on Raw when I was watching the clips that I saw, but for SmackDown, we watched it together and we didn't see either of them during the live watching of it for us. So I really love that they're just showing up in the background.
I kind of like the idea of stalking both shows. Kind of it's not stale yet, so kind of stretch out the intrigue, and then when he does debut, it'll be bigger because you want it more. The longer they make you want it, hopefully they don't overdo it, because they've I've known to do that sometimes. Like
what? The WWE overdo something
Like,
and shove it down your throat?
Emelina
Mm.
debuting next week, a year later.
Never debuted.
No, she debuted once and then that was it. She
Never
came
again,
out,
yep.
came out, did the catwalk thing, and then turned into Lacey Evans.
Yep. My thoughts are, I hope that he keeps stalking. I hope that more and more things just start showing up randomly from the Firefly Funhouse, and wrestlers start to take notice. Like the paintings are just on a random door, and they'll just be walking by and be like, "The heck is that? What?" And they won't really just a quick passing glance at it, and just slowly it seems like, oh shit, the Firefly Funhouse is the WWE. Like Bray is controlling all of this shit now.
I want to see the Vince McMahon puppet with Vince McMahon.
Ah, that'd be great. One time, the McMahon, because they have the door that says McMahon family, and it just opens and it's the Vince McMahon puppet instead of any of the actual McMahon family. Dude, how great would that be? I would mark out for that. That'd be pretty cool. All right, that'd be cool. All right, so yeah, I think we're both in agreement. We want to keep stalking for a while. I don't want a mid-card feud. I want him to come in and immediately be in the main event. I want him in either the Universal title picture or the WWE title picture. I don't care which one. I don't want a mid-card feud. I don't want him with the US or the IC title.
I want him in the AEW World title feud.
All right. That's a fair answer as well. All right, let's move on to our second question from Jeff, which is, are we going to get a decade-long payoff at SummerSlam with a Kofi Kingston versus Randy Orton match?
Oh.
I didn't even think about this, but that would be pretty nuts, actually.
That would be
Like,
serious long-term booking right there.
That they did not...
Unintentionally.
Yeah, unintentionally, but they could tell a hell of a storyline with that.
I don't know. Rumors have it Shane McMahon's going to be champion before then.
I unfortunately have seen those rumors as well.
So I don't know. I don't know if Kofi's still going to be champion by SummerSlam. So hopefully, maybe because we're in June. So...
He's only got to make it 2 months?
Yeah.
He's got to make it through Extreme Rules.
He's not going to lose to Samoa Joe.
No, definitely not.
So yeah, maybe. If it makes it through Extreme Rules, I think it's Backlash after that.
Yep, it's Backlash in July this year,
Weird.
which is so weird.
So yeah, that's when Shane McMahon beats him.
I could see Backlash being Kofi putting the belt on the line against Shane because he goes, Shane, I am sick of you ruining these shows. And Kofi tries to be the defender for all of us people. And Shane goes, the only way I'll give you the match is if you put the title on the line. And Kofi will once again beat the hell out of Shane through the whole match, just like The Miz did in the WrestleMania encounter. But then somehow Sweaty McSweatyballs will win the match and become WWE champion. I could definitely see him winning at Backlash.
I love and hate that all at the same time.
It would be a good storyline but then who's going to be our crowning champion to take down Shane? That's really what I'm okay with Shane.
Roman Reigns.
Yeah.
They're setting this whole Roman Reigns thing up. Who's going to be?
Yeah, damn it. And I like Roman Reigns.
Happen.
I like Roman Reigns, so, all right.
Shane's the best in the world.
Shane is, and he's up 1-0 on Roman Reigns.
That is very true.
So why would he even give Roman Reigns the title match? He doesn't even need to.
Because he's going to, I don't know, it's wrestling.
It's wrestling.
Why is Samoa Joe the #1 contender for the WWE title?
That is a great question. But so, back to the original question. I would love to see it be Randall Keith Orton versus Kofi Kingston at SummerSlam. That would be
stupid.
That would be so awesome. Let us move, though, on to our third and final question, which actually kind of ties into what we were just talking about, which is, sick of Shane McMahon yet?
I'm not sick of Shane McMahon, but they're overdoing him for sure. A lot of people are get him off TV. I say just do less. Have him on one show and maybe have him get hurt so he's off TV for a while. Have him have one of those injuries where he's breathing all weird again.
Have him take a crazy, kick from someone.
He's wheezing all over the place.
I'm sorry, Zeus. I didn't mean to scare you.
Is this Forrest Gump?
Yeah, I scared my dog with that. He thought I was actually in trouble.
Dying.
I'm good.
So yeah, I'm not sick of Shane McMahon. I love Shane McMahon, Just like dial it back a bit. That's really all I want.
I absolutely love Shane McMahon as a heel. I love the character as a whole, but yeah, Diesel's completely right. With the bloated roster the WWE has, it just doesn't make sense that Shane takes out 30 to 45 minutes of both Raw and SmackDown every single week when they have so many other people they could feature. Zeus, come on. It's not that I really dislike Shane McMahon or his character work or anything like that. It's just too much. I just want to see other things. If it was either just on Raw or just on SmackDown, I think it would be much better. And if he wins the WWE Championship, I would hope they would only just keep him on SmackDown, just to try and keep anything consistent.
It's so weird that he's the authority figure, but then Triple H is hanging around backstage. Sometimes Vince McMahon pops up.
Yeah.
Stephanie will pop up, but Shane, like he said, it was his company. He said that on SmackDown.
Shane is Vince McMahon now. He has basically become the can't do it. He's the authority now. I was gonna say a bigger word.
I also love the fact that he turned into Shane McMahon from 1999.
Yeah, I really miss the Mean Street Posse.
Oh yeah, bring him back.
I would love to see the Mean Street Posse
Joey
come back.
Abs.
Joey Abs, Pete Gas. Dude, bring him back.
Rodney P.
Yep, Rodney
no,
P.
No, it was just Rodney.
It was just Rodney, I think.
Yeah, it was Pete Gas.
Yeah, it was Pete Gas.
That's right, I mixed them up. It was just Rodney. Joey Abs.
Bring them all back. It'd be awesome. All right, let us thank, though, Jeff in the Bluegrass, who was at Northpaw_Jeff19 for all three of those great questions. Let us move on, though, to our next high flyer. Our next high flyer will be Blaine, who is at BC Mendoza. And Blaine's question is, sushi or pokey? Pokey. I don't know how you want to say it. You know what sushi is, right?
Yes.
Do you know what pokey is? Pokey.
No.
Okay, it's basically the same kind of concept. It's like fresh fish, vegetables in a bowl kind of situation with some rice, some other kind of things moved in. They're called poke bowls. Poke bowls. It's P-O-K-E. I don't know how people say it. I say it how I want to. I say it pokey because it's, like Pokemon. I don't care if it's wrong. You can at me if you want.
I don't know.
Fair enough. I will take straight up sushi. I like the difference of the sushi rolls. Plus, I can eat way more different sushi rolls in one sitting than actually doing the bowls. Because, most time the bowl you get is a very substantial amount of food for like the lunch or whatever like that. So I will definitely take sushi. And I do love me some sushi. All right, well, we have to thank Blaine, who was at BC Mendoza, for that great question. Make sure you give him a follow on Twitter and Instagram, because the man posts some really sweet photos. Let us move on to our next high flyer. Our next high flyer will be MGB Graham, who was at MGB Graham. And the question from Graham this week is, did I hear Vince tell the wrestlers not to wrestle during commercials? If so, what would you think of going back to the European style wrestling I watched in the 80s, where you have rounds and breaks like in UFC/boxing?
No.
Diesel brought this up without even knowing this question earlier today while we were hanging out, and just was berating about how he did not want this to start happening.
They tried it in Impact at that one title, and it was stupid.
The Grand Championship.
Yeah, it was stupid.
It wasn't stupid.
It's stupid for a predetermined sport. It makes sense for like a real fight, but like it was predetermined. You have judges. It wasn't part of the question, but like the one for Impact, they had judges, and that's how you found out if you won or not.
Yeah. The one for Impact was definitely flawed. It was too much thought into a simple concept. If they could do it in the right way, it might not be so bad. It might be better than these 2 out of 3 falls matches that we're having constantly now. And it's so contrived and obvious to why we're having these 2 out of 3 falls matches. So if they're gonna make the wrestlers continue to do this and going forward, maybe it's something we have to adopt.
Well, it would make wrestling feel totally different, though. Like, I don't know, it just changes the feel of the sport.
It would. It would not feel like WWE or pro wrestling. It would be a definite giant change in the company.
But I mean, with the way Fox talks about wanting it to be more of a like combat sport rather than like a comedy show, I mean, I could actually see Fox talking them into it. They already talked them out of the brand split, so I don't know. I could see SmackDown having rounds.
So apparently, I saw this on Twitter. I'm sorry, I just saw it briefly as I was getting to the questions, that apparently Fox has not been happy with the recent numbers the WWE's been putting out, including Stomping Grounds with an S for some stupid reason, and also Raw and SmackDown. And they're having a meeting with Stephanie, Triple H, Vince, and the producers about things they want to be changed in the next few days here. So, I mean, I guess maybe we'll see next week if things are different. Things are different next week than this really happened.
Yeah, well, hopefully they are, because product is stale.
It's not great right now, folks. We're very positive people, Diesel and I, and I mean,
It's hard to watch.
There are definite bright spots, but I mean, at times there are things that it doesn't make sense right now. I want it to be better, but I mean, but the things that are good are so good right now. Like the match quality is so far up. It's just the actual storylines they're telling. There are none. They just don't seem to want to commit to a long-term storyline. Going back to a 10-year-long feud between Kofi and Randy, I don't know if WWE would even think about that at this point. But yes, I don't want them to go 2 rounds, but I maybe have to if they're going to keep going this way forward. All right, let's thank MGB Graham, who is at MGB Graham, for that great question. Make sure you give him a follow on Twitter and listen to his wonderful podcast on the Visionaries Wrestling Network, which include the MGB Wrestling Podcast and the Good Cop, Bad Cop Wrestling Podcast. Let us move on to our next high flyer. Our next high flyer will be, let's go with Mike. And he is at Real Wintry. And the question from Mike is, if you had to put money on the line, who to fight first, Brock or Bray?
So,
No, sorry, I misread the question. If you had to put money on the line in a fight between Brock and Bray Wyatt, I guess, yeah, Brock or Bray, who would you take and why?
I mean, the obvious answer is Brock Lesnar, because he's a former heavyweight UFC champion.
If you had put money on the line, who fight first, Brock or Bray? Oh, I get it now. No, all right, I'm sorry. I completely misinterpreted the question. It is, who are you betting to see in the ring first? Brock Lesnar again or Bray Wyatt?
Bray Wyatt.
There we go. All right, sorry about that, Mike. That was my problem. I misread the question and misunderstood it. I had to read it aloud to myself. If I had to put money on the line, for sure Bray Wyatt, that we will see him in the ring before Brock cashes in the Money in the Bank. Because at this point, I do truthfully think that he is going to hold it until the SmackDown moves to Fox, and he will cash it in the first night on Fox.
On Roman Reigns.
On Roman Reigns. I think it would be a huge, great moment for him, and it would make a lot of sense. Plus,
Roman Reigns is going to be Shane McMahon at SummerSlam for the WWE Championship.
Man, we're doing a lot of just, positing and booking for the future right here on this show.
I can't wait till all this happens. We go back to episode 104, 2 out of 3 balls.
Yeah.
And
I keep forgetting that's what we called this week's episode.
And then, see all the things that we predicted and got right.
Yeah.
Call us Notre Dameses.
Nostradamus.
Notre Dame.
Yeah, Notre Dame. That is a cathedral that burned down recently.
Or a football team.
No, yeah.
That's Notre Dame.
Yeah,
same thing.
No.
Spelled the same way, Chad.
It is spelled the same way. Wow, we are really
Catholics.
We're not Catholic, either of us.
Both of those are Catholics.
Notre
Dame and Notre Dame.
That is true. It also
burns.
So, quick sidebar. Do you know that they're going to be able to reconstruct the Cathedral of Notre Dame because of a video game?
No, I did not.
Yep. So when they did the Assassin's Creed, I want to say it's Assassin's Creed Revelations, or maybe it's just 2. But they did a full-on graphic scale Like, they photographed everything and they made a complete, true version of the Cathedral of Notre Dame for the big game, and they still have all of the information they had. So they're going to be able to reconstruct the cathedral because of a video game. So suck it, everyone who says video games aren't good for anyone. They're amazing. All right. Yeah, I'm going with Bray Wyatt though. Let's get back on track. We have to thank Mike, who was at Rio Wintry, for that great question. Let us move on though to our next high flyer. Our next high flyer will be the Good Cop, Bad Cop Wrestling Podcast, who is at Good Bad Wrestle. And the question this week is, Lacey Evans and Becky Lynch's Twitter spat after Stomping Grounds. Good cop moment or bad cop moment?
Didn't see it.
Well, can you basically figure out the gist of what it was? It all started where Becky was like, oh, you can go ahead and you can, hit my boyfriend, you can spit on my boyfriend, but once you nutshot my boyfriend, gloves come off.
Okay. And thoughts on that?
My thoughts are...
Oh, that's what the question is?
Yeah, well, no, it's basically, was it good cop moment or bad cop moment?
Right in the middle, I don't care.
Yeah, that's the point I'm getting with these Twitter beefs that all these wrestlers are having online lately, is either, I guess I'm becoming desensitized to them, because they're just happening so frequently lately that I don't care as much. Like, it's just, oh, shit, so-and-so are in another Twitter spat. Oh, this one's fighting with this one now. I mean, they're fun to pop in and out on, but I just don't care. That's really what it kind of boils down to.
I enjoy the inter-promotional ones.
Yes, I mean, we do have the Seth Rollins. I don't know if we have a question about it, but we'll quick sidebar, because I don't think we do. Sidebar. So, Seth Rollins versus Will Ospreay. Twitter, beef. Thoughts?
It was great. I thought that Seth Rollins was sticking up for the company he works for, and I'm sure he really believes what he said, but he's also got the WWE rose-colored glasses on, because that cruiserweight match was great, but it wasn't the best match of the year. And I like how he put out there how, name anybody alive that can match him in the ring, and Ospreay goes, I'm alive. And they got a whole feud, and then Seth Rollins trying to turn it, who's richer? It's like, that wasn't the original question that was posed. And
well, they were comparing numbers, so if you're going to compare numbers, you might as well compare bank account numbers as well. Cha-ching!
Ricochet got brought into it too, and then the best part about it was not even anything to do with Seth Rollins. When Baron Corbin came in there and said he wrestled more matches than Will Ospreay, and Will Ospreay goes, that's the reason why Raw sucks.
It was pretty funny.
I loved it. I loved every tweet.
Yeah. No, so once again, there's a Twitter spat that I don't care about it, but it's been a lot of fun to keep up with. So that's a good cop moment for that one.
I want to see that match.
Yeah, that'd be fun. CrossFit Jesus versus the Aerial Assassin. We could have some fun with that. But for the Lacey Evans, Becky Lynch, I guess I'm going to go bad cop just because I don't care. It's just the same. It's the same shtick they've been pulling the whole time in the ring and everything too. So
I don't care either.
Yeah. All right, but let's thank the Good Cop, Bad Cop Wrestling Podcast, who is at Good Bad Wrestle. Make sure you tune into their podcast each and every Friday, only on the Visionaries Wrestling Network. Let us move on to our next high flyer. Our next high flyer will be MGB Mason, who is at MGB Wrestling Pod. Make sure you check out their wonderful podcast each and every Monday, only on the Visionaries Wrestling Network. Question for Mason this week is, after learning how to edit in Audacity this week, the next episode of MGB will 100% be edited by me. Hey, good job, buddy. Like it. Audacity's a nice program, too. I use it as well, at times. What's the latest skill you learned that you impressed yourself with?
Making zucchini bread.
Diesel has been baking a lot. I can back up the fact that the zucchini bread is delicious.
That's my skill.
All right, cool. I could go with video editing. I've been doing a lot of that. As you've noticed, we have our YouTube channel, and our episodes are actually now fully live video, not live, but fully video, and you can see them all on there. So I taught myself how to do all the video editing and put in the, names and everything like that above us. But the skill that I probably taught myself most recently that I'm most impressed with is I taught myself how to floss. And not like floss with my teeth, I'm talking about the dance. And I'm actually quite good at it. And I know it's stupid, but I still am impressed that I taught myself how to do it.
It's hilarious to see him do it.
I'm quite good at it though, aren't I?
Yeah, but it's really, really funny.
It is. I'm sure it is. Look at me. I'm sure it's funny as hell to watch me do it.
Zeus agrees.
Yeah, Zeus sees me floss all the time. All right. Let us thank, though, MGB Mason, who was at MGB Wrestling Pod, for that great question. Once again, as I said, make sure you give a listen to their podcast each and every Monday, only on the Visionaries Wrestling Network. Let us move on to our next high flyer. Our next high flyer will be totally not Dej Kirkby, who is at Brainbuster Stan. And the question from totally not Dej Kirkby is, which is better, a relaxing vacation or an adventurous vacation? Or action-packed, sorry.
And it depends. Like, they both can be fun.
They both can be good, for sure. I actually, though, tend to side with a relaxing vacation. Because the thing with an action-packed vacation is when I get home, I feel like I need another vacation from the vacation I just took. Because if I'm doing too much on the vacation, like then it's not that it's work. I mean, it's clearly all fun things and things like that, but I go on vacation to relax and recharge the battery, if you will. And if I'm just going on vacation, then I'm gonna get back and be like, I kind of feel like I need a vacation after my vacation because I just did so much stuff. So I'm gonna go with a relaxing vacation, which I have one coming up because I have our yearly cabin trip to our buddy Nick's cabin with all our friends besides Diesel because he won't come with us. Never will, but he should. I know he won't. But that's my just super relaxing vacation of the year where we just go and drink for 4 days and just have fun. All right, but let us thank totally not Dej Kirkby, who was at Brainbuster Stan, for that great question. Let us move on to our next high flyer. Our next high flyer is the 5 Rounds Pod, who was at 5 Rounds Pod. And the question is, what's the one thing you'd love to learn but never did?
Play guitar.
Always a good answer. I feel like that's the most common answer from every person on the planet.
It's the truth. I want to learn to play the guitar. I really wish I could play the guitar. Still have time, but don't have time.
Yeah, you have plenty of time. You can still learn to play the guitar.
But I don't have time.
Pick up the taps.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I feel you. For something that I never learned to do that I always wish I did, I'd speak more languages. I wish I would have stuck with doing foreign languages and learning how to speak more languages because I do think it's super interesting. I love the concept of language. I never was quite the best at doing foreign languages, so that's probably why I didn't stick with it, but I've always thought it was really cool and I've always wished that I spoke more foreign languages and could converse with people in their native language or dream in those languages that I don't really understand. Besides Latin, I'm pretty good at Latin. All right, but let us thank the 5 Rounds Pod, who is at 5 Rounds Pod. Make sure you check out their wonderful podcast each and every Tuesday, only on the Visionaries Wrestling Network. Let us move on to our next high flyer. Our next high flyer is the Why We Watch Pod, who is at Why We Watch Pod. Make sure you check out their wonderful podcast each and every Wednesday, only on the Visionaries Wrestling Network. The question from them this week is, fish or chicken?
Chicken.
Oh, you are so wrong. Fish.
I like fish, but I just prefer chicken.
No, you see, this is exactly why you're wrong in this question. Chicken is chicken. Fish can mean a multitude of different fishes. Like, I'm talking shark, swordfish, bluegill, cod, snapper, mahi-mahi, trout, salmon. You got chicken. Chicken.
There's a lot of things you can
Chicken.
make with chicken.
Yeah, there's a lot of things you can make with fish too, but I also have a multitude of different kinds of fish to use.
Yeah, good for you.
It's not even close. Like, and don't get me wrong, chicken's fine, but chicken is boring.
No, it's not.
Chicken's
Put
boring.
some hot sauce, some buffalo sauce, some barbecue sauce.
Oh yeah, you can do that. You can only do that so many times though. Boring.
There's so many different things. Chicken cordon bleu. You can do chicken tenders. I don't know. There's a lot of chicken. Chicken tacos.
Chicken is not as good as fish.
Chicken burritos.
Chicken is not as good as
chicken pizza.
Dude, Friday night fish fry, right there.
Chicken dumpling soup.
Friday night fish fry, right there.
Chicken a la king.
Fish. It is fish. There's so many different kinds of fish.
Fried chicken.
Do fish so many different ways. It is fish.
I prefer chicken.
Well,
yeah, chicken Kiev.
That's
delicious. You know that's delicious.
Chicken Kiev is delicious. And I made chicken Kiev one time, and I didn't think it was going to turn out, and then it turned out wonderfully.
Chicky parm parm.
It's still fish, but I do like the chicky parm parm. I spilled some of my drink on my pants.
You wet yourself.
No, that is, well, I mean, sure. I'm not going to make that joke. Never mind. We're just going to thank the Why We Watch Pod. Who is that? Why We Watch Pod for that great question. And move on to our next high flyer. Our next high flyer will be the Mount Rushmore Pod. I'm sensing a theme in what I did with these few questions right here. They are at Badlands Pod, and you can check out their wonderful podcast only on the Brainbuster Radio. Free plug for you guys. The question this week from them is, what's your favorite game to play in an arcade? I love arcades. Love them.
I don't know, I'm going to go with a weird one. It's not really that weird. I like skee-ball.
That's not that weird.
But I mean, like, when I think of arcades, I think of, like, actual, like, video games, like Mortal Kombat or...
Well, yeah, I'm going to answer an actual video game.
But no, I like skee-ball. I think skee-ball's fun. I'm not very good at it, but I like to play it.
Nothing wrong with that. So my first thought was actually pinball. So when you say skee-ball, it's not that weird to me because my first thought was pinball. Because I love old school pinball machines. I miss them. The lights, the sounds, like just the chaos. It is pure chaos playing an old school pinball machine. But my answer has to be, without question, Tekken. It is my bread and butter game for arcades. I used to go to lock-ins at arcades where I would play Tekken all night. We would go in. We had an arcade at the mall, the East Town Mall. The mall closed at 10. So you would get there at 9:30 and you would go in through the back door and then there'd be like 30 to 40 nerds and we would be locked in the arcade. It's the only place you go in the mall because the gates were shut and you would be there until 6 in the morning the next day, right before the mall opened. And you just ding. And it was all free. And the Tekken machines were the best because after about, I think it was either Tekken 4 or Tekken 5 is when they started doing this with the arcade machines, where you could bring your PlayStation controller and you could literally plug it into the arcade machine. Or you could bring in your like bigger fight pad. So you could bring your own flipping controller and I would just play for hours upon hours, just wrecking bitches left and right. Like, Tekken is my game. I always loved Tekken. I still have my fight card for Tekken 6. And if I will find Tekken 6 machine, I will show any of you that I have, I think on there, over 1,000 wins, and I have literally every single item that you could have for my Dragunov. So, just saying, I'll beat you at Tekken.
For like an arcade game that I used to like to play was at the movie theater that's still there, but it's not a movie theater anymore, it's an abandoned building now. But
I don't think the machine's probably still there.
No, but the movie theater's still there, is what I'm saying.
Oh.
But the game I used to like to play there was Simpsons Bowling.
Oh shit, that's not what I thought you were gonna go with Area 51.
No, I like Simpsons Bowling.
Yeah. That was a good
little
one.
roller.
Dude.
Like, Willie was the best.
Willie was obviously the best. He had the most power. You could win. You just strike with Willie every time. Willie was the best in Simpsons wrestling too.
Yeah.
Like,
so you got to Mr. Burns.
Well, because he was a cheating dick.
Yeah, because he has
he had the power
Smithers.
suit. Yeah, he had the power suit as well, and the Smithers. Okay.
It's a good game, though.
It was. I did like Simpsons Bowling. Area 51 though, or any like light con shooter game where you actually got the gun. I love the Time Splitters games as well. Did you ever play the Time Splitters?
I did.
Or the House of the Dead.
Yeah, I played all the games that were in the movie theater arcade.
Yeah, and also we had those at the bowling alley for a long time. We used to have an arcade at the bowling alley.
Yeah, that was always nice that they had arcades there because then I couldn't drive back then.
Yeah.
So like I had to wait for my mom to pick me up. So playing the arcade.
I was gonna say I wouldn't even call my mom to pick me up. I'd be like, I'll be on the arcade, and then I'd get a call from my mother. And what are we saying? Call our mothers?
No.
We didn't have cell phones back then.
I did call my mom on the payphone.
Yeah.
But I didn't have any money because I was a kid. So I call 1-800-COLLECT, and when it got to the part where you're supposed to like record your name, I go, Mom, come pick me up.
And then your
mom,
mom
do you want to accept this call? She goes, no. And she come pick me up. I knew how to do it.
Wow, we have just really revealed our age to all of our listeners.
You want to know what the funniest thing is? I learned how to do that from like those commercials on TV. They taught you how to do that.
They did with we just had a baby, it's a girl. 9 pounds, 8 ounces, it's a good boy.
It's Bob, just had a baby.
And it's Bob, just had a baby, it's a girl. I think it's actually a boy, but whatever. But yes, loved arcades. What was the Gauntlet Legends? Gauntlet Legends. I had the high score on the bowling alley version of that for so long, and then the machine reset, and it took off my high score. And I will tell you, I have never been more mad in my life. I have literally never been more furious than when that happened.
I will tell you that he has.
Probably.
I've witnessed it.
I do tend to get angry at times.
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit. I have called some of our friends very terrible things that I regret after saying it, but whatever.
It happens.
It happens. All right, but let us thank the Mount Rushmore Pod, who is at Badlands Pod, for that great question. Let us move on to our next high flyer. Our next high flyer will be Good Guy Dave, who is at Dave Pozevsky. And we got a few questions from Dave. First one is, why do you think people dislike Yoshihashi when he really does good work in New Japan? Because he's boring as F. He is just boring. He is the cookie cutter version of what I think a New Japan superstar is. He's just not great. He's good, but he's just not great. It's just how he's always been. I've never enjoyed Yoshihashi.
It's not just that he's boring, it's everything about him. It's his look, it's his style, it's...
He has changed up his look. I don't know. You haven't watched New Japan in a while, so...
I haven't watched a while, but still, I mean, he didn't change his face, did he?
Nope, he didn't have any plastic surgery.
You see, I mean, it's everything. I'm sorry, he just wasn't born looking like Takahashi. No, Tanahashi.
Tanahashi or Takahashi. Either one. They both work in that situation, what you're trying to, say. Yeah, I just think he's boring. Regardless of his in-ring work, which is good and solid, he does some cool stuff. I just don't think he's great. I think he is overhyped. All right, let's move on to our second question from Good Guy Dave, which is thoughts on the Dr. Sleep trailer.
Well, it's about time that they did a sequel like 50 years later.
I mean, did we ever really think we needed or were going to get a sequel to The Shining?
No, that's probably why they didn't call it The Shining 2.
Yeah, because we didn't need it. But I'm sorry, I didn't mean to jump you right in.
No, I was just saying, it looks interesting. They didn't really give much away in the trailer. Just kind of like basic backstory, so you know that it's about The Shining later in life.
Oh man, they gave some pretty obvious things that was going on.
No, I know, but like they don't give much away.
No, but there's clearly some kind of like weird cult who is stalking people who have The Shining. They were the like vampire-like people. They ate that little girl in the trailer.
I do like the part at the end when he's looking through the hole in the door
that he made. Here's Johnny. Mm-hmm. Yeah. What is the name of that hotel? Why can't I think of it right now?
Hotel California.
It is definitely not the Hotel California because that song's about heroin.
It's a good song though.
It's a great song by the Eagles. And JR, you can jog on because the Eagles are a good band. But my thoughts are, I think it looks interesting. I'm excited. I like Ewan McGregor a lot, to be honest. I like a lot all of his like independent movies he does, the smaller ones. I've always enjoyed Ewan McGregor's work. I don't really want to talk about the Star Wars prequels. Zeus, if you knock down anything with your pink pig right now, we're gonna have problems. But yeah, so I'm excited.
Ewan McGregor was good in the show Fargo.
He was.
The season he was in it, he did a really good job. He played two guys.
He did. He played twins.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's move on though to our third and final question from Dave, which is, what's your favorite summertime drink?
I'm an old-fashioned guy. I love lemonade. So, I mean, it doesn't have to be alcoholic, but I want to put some vodka in there too. I'm not going to say no.
My favorite summertime drink is booze. Summertime is my favorite time to just drink. And as I said, I'm about to go to my buddy's cabin, and we literally just put lawn chairs in the lake and just sit there and have cocktails. So summer is just the best time to just enjoy a good cocktail. I don't care what it is. I guess I will prefer a good whiskey 7, if you will. That's my summertime drink of choice.
That's your wintertime drink.
Or an ice cold beer.
That's also your wintertime drink or your fall time drink, your springtime drink.
What are you trying to say, Diesel?
You like to drink.
That's kind of true. All right. Well, let us thank, though, good guy Dave, who was at Dave Pozewski, for all 3 of those great questions. Let us move on to our next high flyer. Our next high flyer will be, let's see, because I like to rhyme. Not really, that didn't rhyme right there. MGB Jackson is our next high flyer, and he is at MGB Jackson. Question from Jackson this week is, having ridden in the front of a monster truck this week, what are your thoughts on the famous monster truck match from WCW between the Giant and Hulk Hogan?
Well, I mean, Hulk Hogan did push the Giant off the top of a building.
Off a building, like a 9-story building. Not like just a tiny little building. It was probably, not maybe 9. But it was definitely at least a 4-story building.
WCW in 1995 was pretty wacky with the Dungeon of Doom and Kevin Sullivan just running amok.
This is also right around the time we had the match in the back of a moving semi.
Yeah, that was a little bit before this, but yeah.
A little bit before, but not much.
Yeah, I watched that when I was watching Nitro a couple years ago. It was at Halloween Havoc 95, and yeah, it was interesting, that's for sure. I mean, this was pre-NWO, so WCW was in like a wacky period.
Oh yeah, this is before Eric Bischoff came in and kind of righted the ship a little bit. Like,
Eric Bischoff
was there, but he didn't have like full.
Yes, he did. He was in charge, and they talk about that on commentary because he was on commentary. Chad, I watched this.
I know, I did too, but I watched it as a kid. You watched it much more recent than I did.
So I know, but he was in charge of all this, and yeah, it was a crazy time, crazy period for wrestling in general. Look what the WWE was doing at that time too.
Yeah, no. See, and I see this through rose-colored glasses. This is my nostalgic glasses that I see this through, because I have never, ever gone back and revisited any Nitro, ever, because I know the minute that I start, I'm going to keep watching them, and I'm going to ruin a portion of my childhood. Because Nitro and WCW was my thing. It was, like, my friends were WWF guys. So, WCW was mine. It was mine. And I will never go back. So, my memories of this are absolute insanity. And the fact that the Giant didn't die after being thrown off of a building makes no sense at all. And the actual confrontation between the monster trucks themselves was one of the most ludicrous things I have ever seen. Like, the fact that they even thought, hell, let's do this. This seems like a really good idea, guys. Like, people are really gonna like this, is mind-boggling. I don't know how anyone at Turner Broadcasting let that get by.
Those tells on pay-per-view. But I believe someday you will go back and rewatch Nitro.
You know, maybe I will. Maybe we'll do a whole live stream thing about it. If you guys want to see me go back and rewatch all the Nitros and just destroy my own childhood, you know, tweet us a bunch. Maybe I'll do it. I don't know. But let us thank MGB Jackson, who was at MGB Jackson 5 for that great question. Make sure you check him out. He's makes some appearances on the MGB Wrestling Podcast, and every once in a while on the Good Cop, Bad Cop Wrestling Podcast, only on the Visionaries Wrestling Network. Let us move on to our next high flyer. Our next high flyer will be, let me see. I like to say it that way. Jerry, hey, Arnold, who was that? Santa Jesus guy. First question from Jerry is, what would you do if Yano suddenly appeared in front of you?
Well, I don't know exactly what Chad's gonna do. I know it would be something not good. I'd probably buy a DVD.
You just buy one of his stupid DVDs.
Yeah, I mean, he tries really hard to sell those things. I kind of feel bad because it doesn't seem like anyone ever buys them. So I buy one.
I punch him in the face. Just okay, especially because the way I picture this, like I picture him literally like poofing into existence right in front of me. Like not like he just walks out in front of me, like literally like puff of smoke, Yano right there. And my first reaction is gonna be ha! And I'll punch him right in the face.
Grab a roll of duct tape and tie him up.
Huh? He is also, but he's very, what's the word I'm looking for?
Elusive?
No, he is very, it's very effective, the Paradise Lock against him. So I just lock him in the Paradise Lock after I punch him in the face. And then I'll leave him there. Because I'm not going to unlock it for him.
He can scream for Rocky Romero all he wants.
Yeah. Ain't no going to be no Rocky around here. Because we're in America. Rocky's over in Japan. All right, let's move on to our second question from Jerry, which is, what would happen if Michael Bay directed reboots of classic movies? Oh my God.
Not good things.
Dude, can you imagine like Casablanca with explosions?
Oh man.
Like it.
Over budgeted.
Yes.
And
like there'd be like car crashes and just ridiculous things. Oh man, it would be bad. It'd be really, really bad. And don't get me wrong, you know what, Michael Bay? Kudos to you. You found a way to make a freaking boatload of money doing terrible, terrible work. But no, don't let Michael Bay. Oh, I'm just thinking of the things he like. What if they like gave him like the Hitchcock series? What if he started doing like all the Hitchcock movies over like Birds or Vertigo? Or Rear Window, or Psycho. Like, think of the over-the-top, it would be like Kevin Dunn, but on steroids. Like, think of the camera cuts, and the explosions, and the CGI work. So, do you think that if he redid Psycho, how would his mother actually be a robot at this point? Like a sex bot that he turns into his own mother?
Oh, God.
That was, like, sentient?
Oh, God, this just sounds awful. I don't even want to think about it.
Oh.
Don't do it, Michael Bay.
Don't. And I mean, Michael Bay is pretty much, he doesn't really do anything anymore.
Yeah, just stay retired.
Yeah, because I mean, they even took the Transformers away from him.
Yeah, because look what he did with the cool things like Transformers.
Yeah, he put them on dinosaur robots and tried to bring in King Arthur and say that the last true, or King Arthur was a Transformer and Excalibur was a was a sword from the Transformers time.
I'll remember that you did it during the Transformers this week, so when you ask me tomorrow, like, yeah, it was a Transformers question.
Thanks.
Oh, no, it was Michael Bay.
Michael Bay. Let's move on to our third.
Michael Bay. That's how I'm going to remember it.
Don't associate Michael Bay with one of my favorite wrestlers.
Well, you're going to ask me tomorrow. I'm going to need a way to remember it.
Fair enough. All right, let's move on to our third and final question from Jerry. It is, if you got the chance to choose to send someone, or to choose someone to send off into the depths of space for eternity, who would you choose and why? Wow.
I was hoping it was going to be something good.
Yeah, no, you effed up.
I rolled the dice right there, so I guess I got to stick with my first answer.
So you're going with me.
Yeah.
You're sending me off into the depths of space.
You were a dick earlier to me, so...
Fair enough, Morty. That makes sense.
Oh, you're an asshole.
If I had to choose one person that I would send off into space forever,
I don't know who it would be.
Johnny Swashbuckle. I'm just kidding. No, I wouldn't do that. That's not true. Who would it be? Who do I hate?
Piggle.
Yeah, Ziggle Piggle Pudding Pants. I could toss him into space. That'd be fine. Then I would never have to see him on my screen again. Yeah, Ziggle Piggle Pudding Pants. And if you don't know who that is, listen to some old episodes. You'll figure it out. Because I won't even say his real name. Ziggle Piggle Pudding Pants is the answer.
Fun fact, that is where JR is right now.
Space.
That's where we sent him. I don't know how you figured that one out, Jerry, but...
You're a smart guy. Let us thank, though, Jerry, hey, Arnold, for all three of those great questions. And make sure you give him a follow on Twitter at Santa Jesus Guy. Let us move on, though, to our next high flyer. Our next high flyer is Motivated and Confident Mags, who is at Dash Kirkby. And the question from Mags this week is, what are your thoughts on the David Starr belt stamp incident?
Man, I mean, yeah, get your heat, but I mean, I can see why like people would be upset about it. Like Pete Dunne, like when Pete Dunne held that belt for 2 years and tried to build up. And I get it. I think it would be different if he wasn't so vocal about how much he hates the WWE. I think that there's definitely malice behind it, and I think if it was just for a wrestling angle, I don't think there would be much problem with it. But I mean, that was definitely like hatred. It kind of goes back to Seth Rollins tweeting about how WWE is the best competition. Like, I don't know, I like how Pete Dunne like stuck up for his brand and basically his belt.
His belt, yeah.
So like, I think it was a dick move because it was done with malice and it wasn't done for like a wrestling angle just to get heat on his character. It was just done because of hatred.
So I go back and forth on this one, truly, because everything you just said isn't wrong. There is nothing wrong in what you said there. But I can also see to the fact that just like when Naito was disrespecting the IWGP Intercontinental Championship, he was disrespecting it because he hated it. He found it to be below him.
That was his character, though.
That's what David Starr's character is.
That's
right?
not David Starr's character. That's real hatred.
No, but it is. But that's also who David Starr has become. I mean, think of the just comments he has made on everything. That is who David Starr's character has become. He is a very polarizing figure who is about the independence and everything like that. So I see it from both sides. I think it is a little bit disrespectful, but I also see that he is building his own brand. And I will agree with you that it was more about getting himself over than anything else, but I also don't see a problem.
I'm not saying it was wrong, and I'm not saying I didn't like it or I hated it or anything. What I'm saying is, I think it was kind of a dick move because it was done in malice and it was done with hatred rather than just for wrestling purposes.
Yeah, but
I get what you're saying.
Aren't some of the best storylines ever, though, the ones that actually involve real life? Like, I mean, think back to Matt Hardy versus Edge.
That's what I'm saying. I'm not arguing with you at all. I'm just saying that it was a dick move.
All right.
I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with doing dick moves in wrestling. It happens all the time. Just ask Joey Ryan.
Heyo. Oh, that was a good way to end that one.
That was off the top of my noggin.
All right. Well, on that note, let us thank Motivated and Confident Mags, who is at Dash Kirkby. Make sure you check out both of his great podcasts on the Visionaries Wrestling Network, the Why We Watch Pod every Wednesday, and the 5 Rounds Pod every Tuesday. Let us move on, though, to our next high flyer. Our next high flyer will be Darth Vapor, who is at Metal_2006. Now, we got a few questions from Darth. First one is, thoughts on the remake of Child's Play?
I love the Child's Play series. Has that come out yet?
Wait, you love the Child's Play series, really?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
I love Chucky.
Wow, you're not like a big horror movie guy.
Like all those ones from like when we were kids, like Freddy and like all the Michael Myers movies, all the Halloween movies and stuff like that. I love that stuff.
Wow, I did not know that.
The newer stuff, I don't know. I'm not a kid anymore, so I like that. I have more of a connection to that stuff because it scared me more when I was a kid, and now that I'm more of an adult, I just can't really buy into it as much. So I love all those old movies, but so my question, has that come out yet? Or is that
it's either just coming out this Friday or it just came out last week. So it's about to hit theaters.
I obviously haven't seen it yet, but I'm definitely gonna check it out. I don't know if I'll check it out in theaters, but when it comes out on streaming, I love Chucky. I think that
who's playing Chucky, right? Who's the voice?
I heard about it. I can't remember right now.
Come on, man. He is one of the most famous actors of all time, and also like famous voice actors.
I forget, man.
Mark Hamill.
Oh,
it's flipping Mark Hamill.
Yeah, I forgot all about that.
Okay. My thoughts on it, I haven't seen it either. I also enjoy the Child's Play series. But I enjoy the Child's Play series because they leaned into the hokiness of what it was. Like, it was serial killer who did a voodoo ritual to put his soul into a child's toy. And then it just went further and further off the rails. And I loved it because of its hokiness.
Kind of like Leprechaun.
Yes, exactly. Same kind of concept there.
It's another series I like.
I do enjoy the Leprechaun series as well. But I'm worried with this new version of Chucky, with it being about technology and Bluetooth and all those kind of things. I don't know if they're going to lean into the hokiness. I feel like they're going to actually try and make it into a real horror movie. Like, actually scary, which Chucky never was. Like, even as a kid, were you really ever truly scared of Chucky?
I mean, freaked out at times. Like in the first one, I was pretty freaked out with Chucky, but yeah, as the other ones, like not as much.
Yeah, there's like moments, but I'm if they leaned into the hokiness with it, then I'm all in, because I would love to see a reboot of the Chucky series. And Mark Hamill as the voice is great in my opinion, but I'm terrified of not the actual movie, but of what they could have done with the movie. If that makes sense.
I'm sure it'll be okay.
I don't know. Oh,
okay. I'm not saying good.
All right, but let's move on to our second question from Darth, which is, what Marvel character would Nick Gage play? Nick effing Gage, sorry. There's one answer here. It's a really obvious one. Do I have to give it to you?
Yeah.
The Punisher, man. He would obviously be the Punisher.
See, I was thinking of like the Avengers movies and stuff like that, and I didn't even think of the Punisher, but yeah, you're right.
Oh yeah, he would be a full-on Punisher, just wrecking bad guys left and right, using any means necessary, and not giving an F about how he did it. Like, he would be a perfect Punisher.
Yeah, there's only one answer.
I told you. I figured it out. All right, let's move on to our third and final question from Darth, which is, do we see the Revival leave WWE and head for AEW? Yep.
I would say yep.
Yep.
I agree.
I think that the writing's been on the wall for a long, long time. I mean, they wore the hashtag FTW trunks multiple times. And I think that, the writing's on the wall. And I don't think the Revival is happy, even though they are now in a more prominent position. And I think they will be gone very, very soon.
So yeah, like, tag team wrestling on the main roster is horrible. And they're a good tag team. They can wrestle. They're old school. I think that they're a perfect fit for the tag team division in AEW. So, and I think they know that. And they're dying to have a match with the Young Bucks. The Young Bucks are dying to have a match with them. I think Chad's right. The writing's on the wall.
The writing's on the wall, and it has to happen at this point. So, yeah, I think they're gone the minute their contracts are up. All right, but let us thank Darth Vapor, who was at Metal_2006 for all three of those great questions. Let us move on, though, to our next high flyer. Our next high flyer is Broken But Glorious Wrestling Podcast, who is at BBGW Pod. Make sure you give them a follow and check out all of their amazing interviews and other podcasts on the V2 Sport Network. The question of this week is, as alluded to earlier, I told you we talk about it more. What are your thoughts on the WWE pushing Seth and Becky's real-life relationship for the sake of awful storylines? And that's the question. That's awful storylines. That's the question. I didn't say it.
I don't know. It seems weird. I don't know.
It does seem quite forced.
It does, really does. Like, 1 week, she's climbing into an ambulance with Seth Rollins, and that's pretty much how they announced to the world that they were dating. And then, like, they haven't really had very many, like, backstage segments or anything like that. They're just kind of stomping grounds. It's like, well, this is a thing now. This is what we're doing. And it just kind of seems like out of nowhere, but at the same time, not. It's just, I don't know, it's weird. It's a weird thing.
It is the way I feel about WWE pushing it, as I talked about earlier, is this is a lightning in the bottle situation for WWE, where they think they can capitalize on two of their biggest stars having a real life relationship. So I understand why they're pushing it. But in the same vein, I like when they have made Becky the conquering savior. Like, she was the one who has saved Seth Rollins at times. I don't like when they make her... It was a very awkward segment on Raw, let's be honest. With the two of them out there, Becky didn't seem herself at times. It was a contrived, maybe more damsel approach than who the man has been for, the past 6 to 8 months, if you will. So I'm fine with it if they let them both still be the characters that they have built already. Because Becky's character is fantastic, and Seth's character is fantastic. And if Becky plays the part of, you know what, sometimes my boyfriend needs a little help, and I come out here and I beat some guys with a steel chair, cool with it. I don't want it to become one of those situations, though, where...
Mike and Maria Kanellis.
Yes, exactly. I don't want damsel in distress situations. And that's what I'm worried will occur if this storyline just keeps progressing. I hope it dies after Extreme Rules. I just hope.
I like that. I like the way you're thinking.
Yeah, I hope this is the end. I hope this is a little short burst. We have our fun. They can keep dating in real life, but then we don't have to talk about it anymore.
I don't know.
Yep. But let us thank Broken But Glorious Wrestling Podcast, who is at BBGW Pod, for that great question. As I said before, make sure you check out all of their wonderful interviews and other content only on the V2 Sport Network. Let us move on to our final high flyer for the evening. Our final high flyer for the evening is not our normal final high flyer, and you're not in this spot for any other reason besides that I know that you listened to this point, and I just happen to be the last high flyer on the list. It is the Wrestling Realm. Who was that? Wrestling Realm. And Diesel, what podcast is on that? And who's on there? That was a really terrible plug. I'm sorry.
Break it down with Brian H.
That was a horrible plug. I'm so sorry.
It's a good podcast, though.
It is. And the Wrestling Realm is a fantastic podcast you can check out on YouTube and all of your other favorite podcast providers. So check out the Wrestling Realm. Question, though, this week is, you replied via Twitter, but I want to know both of your favorite, both of your moments. All right, sorry. I exited out of it. Everyone's thoughts that would be the best social media feud during the Attitude Era if Twitter would have existed. Sorry, once again, I'm just screwing up right now, folks.
I don't know.
Do you want me to tell you what I responded to them with them on Twitter?
Yeah.
Jericho. I said that Jericho would have been a much bigger star much earlier if Twitter would have existed, because not only would he have just been eviscerating other WWF superstars,
Feud.
like anything, he would have feuded with the entire WCW roster. Like, because when he came to WWF, I'm saying, like when
I understand.
Raw
I thought
is
the question
Jericho.
was, what feud would you like to see, like in social media from the Attitude Era?
The best social media feud. Like, what would you think would be the best social media feud? So I think it would have been Jericho versus WCW, like as a whole, like as him just bashing everyone in the company, especially Eric Bischoff. So Jericho versus Eric Bischoff. That was my answer.
I think The Rock versus Chris Jericho, when Chris Jericho first came into the WWF. I think that would have been an interesting back and forth, because it wouldn't have just ended in the ring like it did when he debuted.
And I mean, think of how cool the countdown would have been with Twitter back in the day, like where you're getting, like, it's just Twitter that you don't even know, but it's a certified, or it's a verified Twitter, has all these followers, and it's just a countdown, and you don't know what that countdown's for. Like, it would have been so cool. Like, they could have done so many cool things with the Jericho character back then. I think you'd have been a much bigger star right away. You don't have your own answer?
I said Jericho and The Rock when Jericho debuted.
I know, but they're just building off of my answer of Jericho.
No, the question was, what would have been the best feud on Twitter? Then during that era, I said that would have been the best Twitter feud.
Okay.
Just because I picked Chris Jericho too, he's one of the greatest talkers ever. Why would I go with Jericho?
Fine, fair enough. I will give another answer then, because I already gave my answer previously. So for another great Twitter feud that would have existed during the Attitude Era, would have been DX versus the NWO as a whole. Like, I mean, think of the Twitter beefs we could have had. We could have had, like, I mean, it's like 6 men of DX versus the thousands of people who were in NWO. So think of, like, just the beefs that we could have had. We could have had so...
Click split in half.
Yeah, we could have had so many just giant fights.
So,
like personal vendettas going. I mean, think of Kevin Nash going at it on Twitter with Triple H. Shawn Michaels going at it with Scott Hall. At that time, Scott Hall would have been too screwed up to actually be on Twitter. But that's neither here nor there. In this perfect scenario, he wouldn't have been. So yeah, DX versus the NWO would have been another amazing Twitter feud that I would have loved to have seen. Man, I wish Twitter was around back then. I also wish Twitter wasn't around today, though, in some ways. It's a weird, weird concept. Social media scares me. All right, but that will wrap up our questions from the Wrestling Realm. Who was at Wrestling Realm? Make sure you give him a follow. What podcasts are on there, Diesel?
Break It Down with Brian H.
And the Wrestling Realm podcast. Give them both a listen. Such great content. I am serious. Awesome stuff. Check it out. That will wrap up, though, the Mystery Brainbuster of the week. There's the bell. Thank you, as always, for sending in all of your amazing questions. I mean that seriously. It is so great to get so many questions. I love each and every one of them. I love answering them. I want more next week. Please keep sending your questions in. Hit up me on Twitter with your questions at ViewFromTopRope. Hit up Diesel on Twitter with your questions at
Diesel_VFTR.
Or you can just always respond to the wonderful Twitter posts I put out each and every Monday asking for your questions. You will all be featured, I promise. If we ever miss you, we'll get you the next week, I promise. Tell your friends, tell your neighbors, tell your enemies, tell everyone. Send your questions in. Listen to View from the Top Rope. It's a hell of a lot of fun, folks. And we talk about everything from wrestling to video games to podcasts to everything else. So literally anyone can enjoy this podcast with any question that you send in. Make sure, though, as always, thank you for the Mystery Brainbuster. That will wrap it up. It is time to move on to our next segment. And that song tells us it's time for final thoughts. And before I even do my final thoughts, I'm going to tell you, my first final thought is, Zeus, you're being a real punk tonight. A lot of barks. A lot of barks.
That's right. It's all about the peripherals, ladies. Ain't that right, Zeus?
Gross.
He is. Someone told me that. But yeah, final thoughts? I don't know. Got something I can't talk about just in case someone's listening to this that might ruin a surprise.
Oh, yeah.
So you never know. One person might be listening, so no surprises ruined here.
We will not ruin any surprises on View from the Top Rope.
So maybe we'll talk about that next week, or I will. No, that's really all I got planned for this weekend. It's gonna be a lazy weekend for me, I think. So I'm not very mad about that at all. So
nothing wrong with a lazy weekend here and there.
Lazy Sunday, just like the Lonely Island song.
Well, then I guess my final thoughts for the week are, I forgot to talk about my amazing weekend with Allison because I didn't have to work on Saturday because we were supposed to go to Frozen Thunder Wrestling. We did not. So Allison and I just hung out all weekend and had a very great time drinking with our friends and a bunch of people. We went to a couple of great restaurants, had a great time. So my final thoughts are, I hope I can have another good weekend with my amazing fiance, Allison. And I will be doing a lot of catching up on wrestling this upcoming week. And I'm going to, I recently downloaded the Final Fantasy IX Remastered Edition on my Xbox, so I'm restarting that. So that's going to eat up a lot of my time as well. That's all I have for final thoughts. So Diesel, let's do some social media stuff so we can get on out of here.
Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. View from the Top Rope. That's all you gotta do is hit that little magnifying glass, mean search, and then type us in and you'll find us. You can send us email at our Gmail, which is aviewfromtoprope@gmail.com. Follow Chad on Twitter at viewfromtoprope. You can follow this guy on Twitter at Diesel_VFTR. Visionaries Wrestling Network. You got the Twitter is at Viz Wrestling Net. You got the Facebook, Visionaries Wrestling Network. Send your podcasts in to our Gmail account for that, which is Visionaries Wrestling Network at gmail.com. I will review them, probably add you to the network. So why not? Just send them in.
Join us.
We're looking for more podcasts. I don't know what people are waiting for. Send them in. I'm talking to you. You know who I'm talking to. And you can listen to all the podcasts from the Visionaries Wrestling Network on Apple Podcasts. You got Spotify, iHeartRadio. Yeah, now Chad just threw me off.
Don't look at me. I'm doing my own thing.
Then we got Podknife, Potable, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and Google Play.
Like so many that you could just type in Visionaries Wrestling Network into your Google machine. You'll find us on your favorite podcasting platform. But that will be all we have this week for Visionaries, for View from the Top Rope. Man, it's been a weird, chaotic night of this podcast. I think we've had some fun though.
2 out of 3 balls.
2 out of 3 balls, episode 104. We named it very well because this has been a 2 out of 3 balls match. It really has been. But for myself, Chad, for my good brother to my left, Diesel, this has been View from the Top Rope. We thank you so much for tuning in to this crazy bag of insanity that we call a podcast. Please tune in next week. Please make sure you send in questions for the Mystery Brainbuster of the Week next week. Please tell your friends, your family, your partners, your neighbors, your coworkers, your enemies, and anyone else about this so they'll send in questions. But as always, the one real important thing you have to remember to do is to always climb up high and enjoy the view from the top rope.